Hello, Internet. It's been a while. What if I told you this guy is the most inspiring person of all time, especially if you're an entrepreneur? This guy, Chung Ju Young. What's significant about Chung is that he founded Hyundai. And what's significant about Hyundai is that it was started from nothing. Chung grew up on a rice farm, and his family grinded to the knuckle, the bare knuckle, 16-hour days every day during the season, just to make enough money to hopefully be able to feed their kids. Well, they weren't able to feed their kids sometimes, and there was bad seasons, and Chung went hungry and starved a lot of the times. He could go a whole year with a bad harvest and they have no food. So his stomach shrank. He had to eat tree bark and little plants on the ground to survive. That man started Hyundai, one of the biggest companies in the world. Now, Chung got into business because he had to run away. He didn't just start because, oh, I'm going to take over my dad's shop. No, 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 no. He was like, no, my dad wants me to become a rice farmer like him. I need to run away. So he ran away 3 times. And on the third time, he did not come back. And he ran away with his friend, and they started working at a rice shop. Well, they were such good workers that he ended up taking over the rice shop. And by this point, he's about my age, and he has these ambitions to grow this rice shop really, really big. So by the time he's like 24, he's been growing this rice shop, and now he's at the point where he's like, I want to make this rice shop the biggest rice shop in Korea. And what ends up happening is there's a war, and the government takes his business. They say, hey, we need rations for the war. Your business is going to produce rations for the government now. And it totally tanked his business and gone. So now he's at ground zero again. He has a wife and he has no money anymore. And what he does is he starts a car repair shop. And this was called like Atto Service or something. And he ends up growing it. And then he's like literally cooking in the kitchen. He's cooking it up. Here he is. He catches the whole building on fire, runs out. There's cars inside for his clients, totally gone. So he's like, oh my God, like everything's gone again. So he goes back to his lender. He's like, hey, I've been paying you every month. Like, I need more money. And the lender's like, I never ever do this, but I believe in you. And he gave him some money, and he started another car repair shop. And this one was Hyundai, and he grew it pretty big, right? And what ended up happening is he got this some money, and he realized, okay, now I need to actually change my model and go into a business that's making actual money where there's good profit. So he got into construction. When he got into the construction business, he had no idea how to build anything. He had no idea how to hire anybody. He had no idea how to do any of these things. He had a little bit of experience at the car shop, but this was a whole different thing. Like he barely got this bid for a government contract and to build like this road. And he did not know what he was doing. So what he did is he completely blew up the project. Everything went terrible. He underbid like crazy. He ended up losing all this money, and it could have destroyed his whole business before he even got off the ground. But he refused to give in and give up, and he just bit the bullet, and he took the loss, and he got the job done no matter what. And because of that, he learned a lot, and he was not fazed by it. He was like, okay, we got to get another one right now, another contract. This time we're going to do it right. And he just found something that worked, repeated. And what ended up happening is he ends up growing this thing to such a big scale, this construction company, that without going through his whole story, he ends up building nuclear power plants. Then he builds boats, because what's a boat when you can build a power plant? Then he gets into like shipping oil from like Saudi Arabia. And then finally he starts making Hyundai cars. But he never even made any money until he was like in his 30s, and he never saw any real success until he was like in his mid 30s. Like, it's ridiculous how many times he failed, how it's just such an inspiring story. And the reason why I'm telling you this story is because a lot of you are in different stages of developing a business. So the reason why I told that story is because what really stood out to me when I was reading this book, this autobiography, was that, like, no matter who you are or what your situation is, you have absolutely no excuse to do something. And not only do something, but like, if you taste destiny, like you find out that, wow, I'm actually an entrepreneur, and I actually was born to do this, and I actually quite like it, and I have to do this, or else it'll eat me alive. And even if you're in a terrible, dire situation, like you just run away. You have to go down your own path. Will it require you to sacrifice your entire life? Of course it will. And that's okay. That's actually good. There's a quote from Chung. I strongly believe that people must work to live a full life. Work itself is a blessing from God. I mean, like, okay, when I heard that, I was like, whoa, what am I reading? I was like, no one's ever talked like that. People don't think about work like that. They don't think about starting a business like that. They don't think of it as a whole life sacrifice, which is fine. They don't think of that. And it's probably why 5% of businesses grow to over $1 million. 5%. That's nothing. That's nothing. Like, when I hear that, I'm like amazed. I'm like shocked, honestly. What happens is social media has literally brainwashed us into thinking that starting $1 million business is easy. Like, it's like an obtainable thing that, oh, you can do this. It's like, well, it's like hilariously not at all the case. Like, it's like, what makes me laugh is I see these gurus, these guys that are like, yeah, I got this business model. This is making so much money. Like, everyone needs to do this. Here's, buy my course. It's like, okay, well, even if they are making money, a lot of money, let's say they're really, really making fast cash, they're always gone in a year, every single time. If they survive and they're around for 10 years, it's because they were running a business that was actually difficult to build, that was actually difficult to facilitate the growth of. So, yeah, there's a lot of bullshit out there, but hearing stories like this is just mind-blowing and refreshing. So let's say you were like Chung and you start making a few $100,000, right? Like when he was running the car shop, he finally found a business that's working, and it hasn't been taken by the government, and he hasn't literally crashed and burned the whole building down. Like the whole business is blown up. Like, he finally is making some money. What does he do? He gets into a better business model. He gets into a better business that has a better profit margin because he learned how to run a business. He's getting some money as capital. Boom, now he's running a construction business. There's good margins. He's getting into something that's scalable. And Why did he even do this? Because that's a big decision to make. Like, the construction business is not easy. Like, because it's high margins, like, it doesn't mean it's easy. It just means it's scalable. There's potential. So you must have a why. Like, there's not a love for money that gets you to building Hyundai. It's actually a love for your nation. Chung absolutely loved his country, Korea. And I think the number one reason for his success was the hardworking Koreans that helped him do all of these projects. His brother that he hired, these close, trustworthy people that he trusted to go out there, bid jobs, to really help him grow the business. He had a really good team, but it was because he was the leader. He was leading by example at the beginning, and then he was able to make leaders from within his company, which is not easy to do. But what was really interesting is that he was literally feared by his employees. Like, he became this like mystical presence. Like, oh my gosh, Chung's coming today, and they'd like freak out. They're like, is he here yet? Is he here yet? And they see him. They work really, really, really hard, and then he'd leave, and then he'd come back, and they weren't expecting it, and they would freak out because he was like a mythical presence. They called him the bulldozer because he had all of these bold ideas. He seemed reckless, but he just didn't care about common sense. He didn't care about what other people thought was possible. He was literally famous for when people would come up to him and say, "That's impossible. What you're doing or what you're trying to do is impossible." And these are not just like random people. These are world leaders telling him this. And his response was always, "Have you even tried?" He says that there's a story. When he was poor, and poor doesn't even do it justice at all. When he was literally laying on a bed with bed bugs that were eating him up, he had to do something about it. So what he did is he put these, like, think of like a big gallon of water, and he put each leg of the bedside table into the buckets of water, and he thought, oh, that would surely stop the bed bugs from crawling up this leg of the bed and getting onto him. But he kept getting bit, and he realized the bed bugs literally went up the wall, onto the ceiling, worked together to climb down, drop onto him to eat him up. Like, he doesn't, nothing's impossible to him. If one puts one's best effort into something, they can do anything. Simple. He says success is 90% determination, 10% confidence, and he reminds himself of this every time he starts a new project. There is absolutely no room, not even 1%, for doubt or apprehension. He was really big on, this whole career, he was big on get the job done. No matter what, we get the job done. Like, he's famous for also saying, I mean, I have endless. It's incredible. Credibility grows like a tree. Credibility is honorable. Trust is everything to a businessman. The moment you lose trust, it's all over. Get the job done at all costs. If you can learn from a loss, you can turn it into a gain. So even if the project blows up, you've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. You've learned hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of lessons. You're not going to make that mistake again. So now you know how to make that. If you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mistakes, you're doing something right. So it's, even if you blow up everything, you're going to learn something from it. He was unapologetically nonconformist to common sense, and he always thought outside the box. He's an exceptional example of this. Like, this is a quote. People who are slavish to conventional thinking will never come up with good ideas. If you only think in accordance with what you learned through books, your imagination will be limited to that. Like, he tells all these stories of they're trying to move this crane over here and to be with this other crane to lift this giant like I-beam up. And he's like, wait, why don't we just load it on a trailer and take it down the hill? And they're like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, what's the point of the cranes? He's like, exactly. We don't need them. But he would think of these different ways. He's like, okay, how do we get this? He was in Saudi Arabia and he was building this giant, like underwater giant port. And they had to build these pillars out of the water. And they're like, how are we going to do this? And he's like, oh, guys, if we just adjust and tweak this cement mixer to different degrees, we can get it done. Like, it was just all these things that, like, everyone else, it was this whole army of people. They were just like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then it took him like 5 minutes to be like, guys, we can just like conform this to make it work for us. But no one thought of that. And yeah, like he says, if you think of a method, it will come to you. If you can't come up with a method, it's because you didn't think hard enough. I believe that if a person limits themselves to the fixed ideas and common sense, they will not be very creative. People with a strong will to succeed have unlimited potential. And they have unlimited creative abilities. By bringing together all of this potential, the collective energy of a people can be unleashed. Like, this man single-handedly put South Korea on the map. They were a poor country, so poor that he was growing so fast he couldn't even get loans from his own country. He had to go to these ginormous banks abroad, and they didn't want to touch him because they're like, what do you know about building 200-ton boats? He's like, I don't know actually anything, but here's a picture of this beach that I'm going to be using to build it. And he somehow convinced some guy to buy a ship from literally a picture of a beach. And he's like, yeah, and here's the schematics for the boat that we're going to build. He has no idea how to build a boat, but he convinces this Greek guy to give him the money. Right? And he uses that to get a massive loan from one of the biggest freaking, like, Barclays Bank. And there's multiple times, there's multiple like impossible things that he does. Like to become from a small country to get a loan from like Barclays at that time was like, it's never going to happen. But he just made it happen because he found the second craziest person on the entire planet, which is this Greek guy, to buy a boat for him when he didn't even know how to build a boat. But what did he do? When he got the money, he bought the beach. He didn't even own the beach. He didn't even own that land. He bought that land. Within like 2 years, he built the whole freaking shipyard. He built all these boats. Like, it's incredible what he did in his short life. And he was big on time. Time is always fleeting. There's no time. We have to do it fast. We have to do it now. We have to get it done. So his genius was in getting into different industries that would help his other businesses. So like when he got into building boats, he did it to help out Hyundai Construction. So Hyundai Shipbuilding, or whatever that company was called, was helping his construction business. When he got into cars, what really helped get into cars was the construction business to build the warehouses for his own warehouses, and to import materials and export materials and cars. So by the time he made a car, like, he already had all the infrastructure from being in like multiple giant impossible industries to make it in. Now, I'm halfway through the book, okay? I haven't even read the full book, which is outrageous. It's crazy. But and the reason why I found this guy was because of the Founders podcast. And it was a shocking listen. And I was like, okay, I have to get this book. So I ordered it right away on Amazon. And I was like, in 2 days it was there. I read through half of it like fast. I was on a trip to Florida. I was on the train. I was reading it. I mean, I came back from that trip and I was like, I have a completely different view of how I'm going to run my entire business. and operate my life. It was incredible. But here I wrote, remember that you are on the right path and keep doing the right thing by sticking to your values that you started with when you start your business. Because he never did it for money. He started many foundations. I mean, that's where I'm at in the book right now, where he's finally giving back. I believe he ended up like getting the Olympics to come to Korea and totally just put the country on the map, saved the country from debt, was homies with the president, like he was doing the thing. And here's a few more quotes. If there's one thing that I've learned, it is that life is a constant struggle. Avoid corruption and pray to God. Those are kind of two right there. Two banger. But this is the best one. This is one I'll close this with. Even if life doesn't stop for a moment, everybody wants to enjoy life comfortably at a leisurely pace. However, I think there is nothing more foolish than living a life according to the mantra of doing enough just to get by. Not knowing how precious one's time is, in one lifetime, we can become a revered, immortalized politician, scholar, revolutionary, writer, musician, painter, or businessman like those that we admire. These remarkable people did not take 2 or 3 lifetimes to accomplish what they did. They did it in one. To be sure, individual aptitude, ability, environment, and excellence differs from case to case. Not everyone can pull off such deeds in a single lifetime. However, if you make full use of your time by living diligently, you can excel in any field. Such a life would be considered a successful one. Now, this video is not over. It's not only a 2-part video. I'm going to make a whole nother video on this of information in the second half of the book, because I'm halfway through. But in this video, I want to go over, okay, we're inspired, we're ready to go. How do we actually, practically grow to over $1 million? And there's this fantastic thing that I've learned that has really changed everything. And because I've had the whole inspiration, but like, how do I put it into action? Because I'm running this business. I have 3,000 square feet. I plan on growing way, way bigger. And I'm in talks with CEOs, private equity firms. I'm like these consultants, these executives, these CEOs, these founders, everybody that is in the reverse logistics space. Like, I'm talking to them. They want to help me. I'm probably gonna end up getting multiple trucks worth of stuff, millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of stuff very soon, and I'm ready for it. And I'm ready because of what I learned. Now, what I learned is from actually Mike Andes, who I've been obsessed with. I cannot stop watching his videos, even though I'm not a lawn mow company. I don't know anything about lawn mowing. I don't know anything about landscaping. Mike Andes is the founder of Augusta Lawn Care. And what's really cool about Mike is he has all these locations, right? And when they are doing really bad, like across the country and in Canada, they call in, they say, this is an emergency, like the business is going under, you got to help us. And Mike on YouTube, he goes out there, does a 48-hour turnaround for the business. And it's so interesting learning about all the reasons why people go out of business. Because where I'm at right now, like last month I did 50,000 in sales. I'm doing numbers to hit 500,000. I'm halfway to my goal of $1 million. Well, what I've realized is $1 million sounds good, but it's really a fairy tale goal, because when you actually go to $1 million, like, it's, again, 5% chance. And there's a reason for that. I'll put a picture on screen. I'll link this video in the description. It's an amazing video. Everyone should watch this if you're at all interested or running a business, because he goes through all the different thresholds of running a business. There's the $100,000 mark, the $250,000 level, the $500,000 level, and the $1 million+ level. And each of those levels of revenue, there's different problems. There's different things you need to do in the business. So for example, when you're going from 0 to 100,000, there's a lot of bottlenecks for your physical work that needs to be done, right? You're doing everything by yourself. You're a solo operator probably. You're whatever business it is. If it's at all physical, you're killing yourself working super hard. If you go over 100,000, generally you're probably not going to be able to do it because it's just too much. And you shouldn't be doing it because it's stupid. So the bottleneck is a physical bottleneck. When you get to 250,000, now what you're doing is you hire someone, right? So you move that bottleneck from you onto someone else. The problem with that is, let's say they quit. All the pressure's back on you, but now you're making $200,000 or $300,000. So the whole business it implodes because of the stress and the pressure. So a good analogy, a genius analogy, is the 2-liter bottle, right? 2-liter bottle, little cap. I got this here. Little cap. I'll put it on the screen as well. When this little bottle, I got a water bottle right here. When this is the only output of the business, there's going to be, and there's a lot of pressure building up, the whole thing is going to explode if you do not take care of bottlenecks. And the way you do that is you create SOPs, you create videos, you create processes that work for new hires, people that can take this burden of the physical burden off of you, right? And what the goal is to end up getting to the point where you're growing the business intelligently, and you're handling all these bottlenecks that come up to where like now the cap's a little bit bigger, right? Like the pressure isn't that bad. And then at a certain point, you're gonna get bigger again, right? And what's gonna happen is there's gonna be problems there too. There's just different types of bottlenecks, and the pressure is going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So the whole game is to just keep the bottlenecks in check. So you got to simplify processes over like in the $250,000 range, right? You got to simplify the processes, make it replicable, copyable, so you can get multiple people in those positions. And then when you hit about 500,000, then now you're thinking about, okay, maybe I actually need like some help in the office for admin. Like maybe I just need to be on the phone. I need to be doing the sales. Like in my case, I need to just be cleared up so I can get more parts and I can make phone calls and build relationships with people and do what I do best, which is what people call sales, but it's really just building relationships with people. And only I can do that in the business, right? And I don't think there's many salespeople, especially my age, that know this. So I don't want to hire anybody. That's the last thing I'll ever give up. But I understand that about my business. So get everybody to do the orders, get everybody to do the listings, because I don't have time to do it. I need to be focusing on growing the business intelligently, or else the bottle will explode and the pressure will get too much and the whole business will blow up. Because, yeah, if there's, in my case, Chase surplus, if Chase goes away, it's just surplus. There's nothing there. There's no business. Now, when you get to 500,000, like now you really need admin people. When you get to 1 million, and you somehow haven't imploded yet, now you need to think about, okay, I need to set up meetings. I need to have these operations guys that they communicate to everybody. I can't be leading by example anymore because I'm too busy. The business is too big. I have to just set up meetings to talk to the operations people that are telling me the problems. I'm putting out fires. I'm now the idea guy. I'm trying to grow the business and be a valuable asset that way. And that's a challenge. And pretty much that outline is from experience. And I really appreciate this YouTube video that Mike Andes made, because it really put it together so well. Because what he gets to is, okay, now you want to get to like a glass of water, where like the top is just a circle, like it's just so there's pressure can go all like there's no pressure, like everything's flowing smooth. All the operations are good. You have processes in place that if someone quits, if a lot of people quit, then you have an operations guy to train new people. That's a leader that you taught to do these things. Everything's going to run smoothly. But this is the real meat and potatoes of how you grow a business to over $1 million, right? You don't want the water bottle to explode. There was one part that I forgot to mention in this video, and it was the idea of reviewing where you're at right now. Okay, how do you tell if your business is doing well in the current phase that it's in? Well, Mike Andes actually has a framework. He calls it the 4L framework: leadership, liquidity, leads, and labor. So essentially, do you have enough cash in the bank right now? Do you have enough leads coming in right now? Do you have enough people that you've hired right now? And do you have enough leadership from you or someone under you, like a operations manager or something? Like, this is, if these 4 things are working, then the business will continue to succeed. If one of those isn't working, then this is how you evaluate what's going wrong. Well, it's one of these 4. It's got to be. If you need more leads, maybe you need some more money in the bank to get more leads, to actually fulfill those jobs. You need more labor. In order to have labor, you need leadership. In order for, like it all comes full circle. And I think that's a really good way to think about it. And you have to understand that it's a lifelong love for running a business, for running a company. And Chung really is the most inspiring person of all time, at least to me. And I think if you read his book, you'll think the same. Now, I'm going to make another video on this because there's just too much information. This video is already way too long, but I hope you got a lot out of it. And I just wish nothing but the best for all of you and nothing but success. And thank you so much for watching. I promise my next video will not take this long. And subscribe. There will be more to come. Thanks so much. Check out the podcast. We're on episode 2 now. Just filmed it today. I have many more guests coming on, so go check that out as well. It's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, and I'm going to get it on other platforms as well. I love those conversations, and I'm trying to get some really cool people on the podcast. So you have that to look forward to. Thanks so much. See you in the next one.